Before we begin, drop a comment letting us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more heartfelt stories. Now, settle in and enjoy the story. The chapel smelled like roses and regret. Vivienne Montclair stood behind the tall mahogany doors, her breath caught between duty and desire. Outside, the wind howled across the hills of their private estate in Hampshire, a bitter reminder of the storm building within her. Her dress, ivory lace and silk, clung to her like a question she hadn't yet answered. 5 minutes, Miss Montclair, said a soft voice behind her. She didn't turn. The maid's words echoed like a countdown to a life she didn't choose. A marriage arranged for alliances. Wealth marrying wealth. A merger disguised as matrimony. But Vivienne was no one's asset. She gripped the small envelope inside her glove, the letter she had written to herself 3 nights ago. A reminder, if you don't choose your freedom, someone else will choose your cage. She took one last look at the towering stained glass windows, whispered an apology to her late mother, and turned on her heels. Through the servants' corridor, down past the pantry, her heels clacked against cold marble. She had mapped it out for weeks. A single exit was left unguarded, except for one man, the guard. He was leaning against the side gate, dressed in a black suit and cap, his jawline sharp, eyes scanning the grounds like a hawk. He didn't look like the others. There was something quietly commanding about him, broad-shouldered, hands in his pockets, calm, yet alert. Vivienne slowed as she approached him, breathing heavily, both from nerves and the sheer audacity of what she was about to do. He noticed her before she reached him. Straighten up. You're not supposed to be here. She didn't answer. Instead, she stepped forward, grabbed him by the collar, and kissed him. It was quick, impulsive, wild. But in that instant, everything paused. His lips, soft but stunned, moved in sync with hers for a second too long. She tasted rain and adrenaline. She felt the heat of his body, the way his hands hovered at her waist but didn't dare touch her. Then she pulled away. Don't follow me, she whispered, already turning away. But he did. Wait, he called out, his voice low but urgent. Vivienne ran through the gravel path, her heels now in her hands. The sun pierced through the gray clouds just enough to light her way as she ducked into the garden maze. Her dress snagged on thorns, her hair wild, but freedom smelled close. He caught up easily. Vivienne, he said. She froze. How do you know my name? She asked, breathless. He stepped closer, his cap now gone, revealing tousled dark hair and eyes like the sea before storm. Because I'm not just a guard, he said. And you're not just a bride. She backed away. What are you talking about? He hesitated. You kissed me to escape your wedding. But I was already planning to leave before you ever showed up. What does that even mean? My name's not Jordan like the badge says. He offered his hand. It's Theo. Theo de Renhall. The name hit her like a wave. De Renhall, as in the de Renhall shipping empire? He nodded. The same. I've been undercover, avoiding my family, avoiding expectations. Looks like we both have the same disease. Running from gilded cages, she whispered. They sat beneath a weeping willow, both soaked from a sudden drizzle, breathing hard and sharing stolen glances. Why were you working as a guard? She finally asked. He plucked a leaf from the grass. I needed to disappear. When my father died, everyone assumed I'd take over. But I couldn't. Not yet. I didn't want to be surrounded by people who only saw the de Renhall name. She nodded slowly. I know the feeling. He looked at her then, not as the runaway bride, but as a woman with depth, with longing. You kissed me. She blushed. It was a distraction. I didn't think you'd follow. Neither did I. A moment passed. Then he said, Where were you going? Vivienne looked toward the gates. Anywhere but back. He stood, extended a hand. Then let's go. Just like that. Theo smiled. Unless you'd rather go back and say I do to a man who sees you as property. She took his hand. They checked into a small hotel on the edge of the city, where no one asked questions, and the bedsheets didn't smell of old money and tradition. Theo paid in cash. Vivienne, still in her wedding dress, laughed as they walked in. I must look like a ghost bride, she said, twirling once before sitting on the edge of the bed. Theo chuckled. You look like someone who just saved her own life. She paused. Did I? He looked at her seriously. That man, Daniel, he didn't love you. He loved the arrangement, the merger, your family's name. Her eyes dropped, and I was willing to go along with it, because I was too scared to say no. But you did say no, he reminded her, with a kiss. Vivienne smiled faintly, then looked out the window. I wonder what he's doing now. Throwing a tantrum, Theo muttered. She laughed, then turned to him. Do you regret coming after me? No, he said, without hesitation. In fact, I think I was meant to be there. By morning, the story had broken. Runaway bride vanishes from lavish Leclerc Bellamy wedding. Family refuses comment. Groom furious. Search underway. Vivienne saw her own blurry face on the hotel's TV screen. Her stomach flipped. They'll find me, she whispered. Theo turned off the screen. Only if you let them. But my mother, she'll never forgive me. Did she ever ask what you wanted? Vivienne shook her head. No one did. I was just part of the plan. Theo sat beside her. Then maybe it's time to write your own. He gently took her hand, and for the first time it wasn't to run. It was to stay still. That night, on the hotel balcony, they shared everything. Vivienne talked about growing up in silence, trained for perfection, about the tutors, the curfews, the couture, about Daniel, who once said, I don't need you to love me. I just need you to show up. Theo listened, and then he told her about his mother, who died when he was 10, about his father's obsession with the family brand, about boarding schools and fake friends, and the inheritance he didn't want. They weren't so different. I don't know what this is, Vivienne said, looking at him. Theo brushed hair from her cheek. It's something real. That's more than either of us had before. They kissed again, not as strangers, not as a means of escape, but as two people finding something genuine. 3 days passed. They stayed hidden in a quiet coastal town where no one recognized them. Vivienne bought clothes from a thrift shop and wore her hair down for the first time in years. Theo taught her how to cook ramen with a kettle. It was blissful, but it wasn't real life. Not yet. One morning, as they sat by the water, Vivienne finally asked, What happens now? Theo's smile faltered. Eventually, we'll have to stop hiding. I'm not ready, she whispered. You don't have to be, he said. But when you are, you won't be alone. The fourth night, Theo stepped out to get dinner. Vivienne, alone and restless, dug into his duffel bag for a charger and found a sleek black wallet with gold initials. TBW. She opened it. Inside was a platinum card and an ID. Theodore Bennett Westwood. Her breath caught. Westwood, as in Westwood Enterprises, the luxury chain that bought out her father's shipping business last year. Her mind reeled. Billionaire, in disguise, guarding her wedding? When Theo returned, she was waiting, eyes cold. You lied to me. He stopped in his tracks. She threw the wallet at him. Westwood? Are you serious? He sighed and sat down. I was trying to get away from that life. I never planned to fall into yours. So guarding my wedding was just a coincidence? Theo hesitated. No, I knew who you were, but I didn't expect you. I didn't expect to care. Vivienne turned away, hurt flashing across her face. I don't know what's real anymore. Theo moved closer. This, us, that kiss. It was real. She looked at him, unsure. He added, I walked away from my empire, but I couldn't walk away from you. The next day, Vivienne was gone. She left a note on the pillow. I need to figure out who I am before I can choose who to be with. But you showed me I had a choice. Thank you. Theo read it twice, then sat there for a long time. No anger, just heartbreak and hope. He let her go. Months passed. Vivienne returned to the city, not to the Bellamy estate, but to a tiny studio apartment she rented herself. She cut ties with her family and took a job at a local bookstore. Customers had no idea she once walked palaces in heels worth more than their rent. She read poetry, studied painting, and walked home barefoot in the rain. She didn't miss the diamonds. She missed him. One evening, her boss invited her to a local art exhibit. She almost declined until she saw the name of the sponsor, Westwood Foundation. Heart-pounding, she went. The gallery was intimate and beautiful. Portraits, sculptures, a live cello trio. Then she saw it, a painting of a woman in a white dress, standing at a bus stop. It was titled, The Kiss That Changed Everything. She turned, and there he was. Theo stood beside the painting, watching her. not in a suit, but in a plain shirt and jeans, just like the man she ran away with. "I didn't think you'd come," he said softly. "I wasn't sure I would," she replied. He stepped closer. "I kept hoping I'd see you again." Vivienne smiled. "You did. In every page I read, every street I walked." Theo reached out. "So what now?" She took his hand. "Now I choose." They didn't rush things. Vivienne and Theo spent time getting to know each other again. This time, without disguises, without lies. Their dates were simple. Coffee at quiet cafes, long walks through city parks, late-night phone calls. Still, the world wouldn't stay silent for long. Paparazzi caught a photo of them holding hands outside a gallery. The headline the next day read, "Runaway heiress and billionaire bodyguard in secret romance." Theo sighed as he tossed the paper aside. So much for low profile. Vivienne laughed. "Let them talk. For once, I'm not hiding." Vivienne's parents reached out weeks later. First her mother, then her father. "Vivienne, come home," her mother pleaded over the phone. "This romance with a bodyguard." "He's not a bodyguard," Vivienne said, firm but calm. "He's the man who saw me before the title." Her father surprised her by showing up at the bookstore one rainy morning. "I didn't come to argue," he said. "I came to apologize." Vivienne stared at him. "I tried to marry you off like property. I was wrong. I forgot what it meant to protect you, not control you." She blinked, unsure how to respond. He added, "He makes you happy. That's enough for me." For the first time in years, she hugged her father. 6 months later, it was the anniversary of the day she kissed a guard to escape her wedding. They returned to the same bus stop, now a little rusted, surrounded by a park that had grown wild with flowers. Theo smiled as he took her hand. This spot changed everything. Vivienne laughed. "I remember being terrified. And I remember thinking, if she kisses me again, I'll follow her to the ends of the earth." She looked up at him. "What if I kiss you now?" He dropped to one knee. Vivienne gasped. "Theo." He held up a simple silver ring. No disguises, no titles, just me, asking the woman who changed my world, "Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, and she kissed him again. This time not to run, but to stay. The second wedding was nothing like the first. No media circus. No designer gowns. Just friends, a few wildflowers, and a sunny hilltop overlooking the sea. Vivienne wore a soft ivory dress. She chose herself. Theo wore a tailored navy suit and a grin he couldn't hide. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Theo whispered. "You sure you don't want to escape this time?" She smiled. "I already did. I escaped everything that wasn't me and found something real." They kissed, laughter in their mouths, love in their eyes. The crowd erupted in cheers. Vivienne Westwood, once a runaway heiress, was now a woman who chose her own story. And it was just the beginning. The bookstore was thriving. Vivienne had renovated it with Theo's help, expanding the space to include a cozy cafe and a quiet garden in the back where customers could read. The sign above the door now read, "Westwood and Wild Books, Coffee, and Stories Worth Living." "I still think we should have called it the Kiss Guard," Theo teased one afternoon as he helped stack new arrivals on the shelf. Vivienne raised an eyebrow. "Then people would think you run the place." He leaned close, whispering, "But I do run the coffee machine." Vivienne smirked. Fair point. Life had slowed down in the best way. No more tabloids. No more midnight escapes or stolen kisses under stress. Instead, there were early mornings filled with the scent of roasted beans and old pages, and late nights curled up with books and each other. Theo still helped run Bellamy Enterprises behind the scenes, choosing to stay far from spotlight. He now focused on investing in small businesses like Vivienne's bookstore, helping people who had dreams but lacked support. Vivienne's relationship with her family continued to heal. Her father sometimes visited the shop, always bringing her favorite lavender tea, and never once mentioning marriage alliances or gala invites. They talked now, really talked, and every so often he would say, "I'm proud of you," and mean it. They took road trips on weekends, discovered hole-in-the-wall diners, and made memories that no camera ever captured. Sometimes, Vivienne would stare at Theo when he wasn't looking, still amazed at how everything unfolded, how a kiss meant for escape had become the key to everything she never knew she needed. One evening, under a sky streaked with purple and gold. Theo pulled her onto the rooftop of their apartment. "What's this about?" she asked, laughing. He pointed at the horizon. "You said you wanted a life with stories worth living. I figured, let's write the next chapter." She leaned against him, her head on his shoulder. "With you, every day feels like a story." Theo smiled. "And I'm not done falling for you." They watched the stars come out hand in hand. Two people who once lived behind masks, now completely seen, deeply loved, and finally free.